welcome back to my channel. This is Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry, and for this episode, I'm going to be giving you my favorites from the Miss Universe Philippines 2022 Runway Challenge. So please make sure you stick around. Please subscribe to the channel as well as hit that bell notification button for your weekly pageant fix. I will commend all of these girls because they can walk in heels. None of them really stuck out like a sore thumb. I think that they were all trainable. They were not all of the same level, but it's really hard to pick out really bad pasarela because, you know, most of them, if not all, did actually quite well. And it's also quite impressive that they tried to look for places around the Philippines where they could do that pasarela walk. Some of them were successful, while the others were just, you know, a little too busy for me. But nevertheless, I have a list for you. I ranked them for you this time, and I'm really happy to see new names on this list. And I'm going to start with my number 10 pick. I have Annabelle McDonald from Misamis Oriental. Now, she was a revelation for this challenge because I think that it's no surprise to most of you that I have been asking Annabelle's team to bring her to 2022. I feel like they're playing around too much with her styling. I just feel like she doesn't look current to me. So looking at how she was styled in this pasarela video, it was absolutely amazing to see a little bit of that transformation and that focus on those long legs. Her video to me reminded me of Victoria Velasquez Vincent from last edition. Even the lighting, it's still a little dated for me, but at least they cleaned up her hair, they gave her a bob, they gave her high ponytail, and we were able to see more potential from Annabelle. And you could see her footwork, there's really potential there. So yeah, good job, Annabelle. Number 9 for me, I know that she was expected to appear higher because she's actually one of my favorites in the competition. I am talking about Pasay's Celeste Cortesi. Now, if it were just all about her walk, Celeste is it's an able runway walker. She looked really good. She had the form. It was effortless. She was walking around MOA, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the only reason that she did not figure a lot higher in my list, despite her stable pasarela, despite the really confident footwork that she had, was really because of styling. Because if you check out the comment section, and you have to consider them as well, not a lot of people were happy with how she was styled. I know that this doesn't sound too good, but one of the common comments was that they weren't too keen on the really tight dress and the stockings, and some people even described it as a look that is more appropriate for a street walker. So that's a little, difficult to hear. That's a little difficult to swallow because her styling has always been rather on the sexy side, directional as well. So this time around, I thought that she was covered. I mean, it has nothing to do about, being skimpy on the street, but I will also agree. Maybe if they had simplified the styling, she would have figured higher because you couldn't really focus so much on it because you were just thinking, it's so hot, whatever it is that she's wearing. Number 8 for me is Cebu City's Chantal Schmidt. Now again, just like Annabelle McDonald, Chantal is long and lean, and those legs were really put into use in this pasarela challenge. I loved how everything was just so vibrant because she was shot in the middle of the streets of Colon. This is, of course, a part of Cebu that's old and historical. It's also known as the oldest street or the oldest avenue in the Philippines. So there's really so much history there. There's energy as well, so there were a lot of people watching. So I really like how vibrant the visual content was and how colorful it was. Maybe a little too colorful because so many things were just happening in the background instead of you just focusing on Chantal because she had this wild dress. It was just so printed, and it had lots of ruffles, and then you had the background, you had people, and then she also had striking makeup. So maybe it was just a little too much, but other than that, her legs look fantastic. She really looked in command, and if it were just the walk, then yeah, she definitely is on my list here. Next, I really like that this one is really giving competition. Talking about Iloilo provinces, Vanessa Carroll. She was one of the ladies who walked on sand, and I know how difficult this is because, these are the things that we sort of laugh about whenever we would see foreigners who would wear sandals or high heels to the beach. And, she was able to display control. I really like the shots of her showing her leg work and her footwork, because one of Vanessa's strengths definitely has something to do with form. She is a dancer, so she understands lines and how this would register to the viewer or how this would register in video. So I liked how everything was just so graceful and elegant with her strides, with her confidence. A lot of people are comparing her to Katrina Gray. I totally see it, although she definitely still has a lot of work to do to be at the level of Kat. I am seeing at least the foundation there. I would have really wanted her to be lifted in this list of mine, but yeah, I think the heel going into the sand was just a little trippy for me. So she wasn't the only one who walked on sand, but kudos to her for really trying that. And one of the things that I would also like to mention is that sometimes when these girls don't appear higher on my personal list, it may have something to do with camera angles and camera work, because if most of the shots are just torso shots or face shots, it definitely defeats the purpose. And for Vanessa, at least, it was rather balanced. Next, I will be adding one of my favorite girls in the competition, and this one has nothing to do with the challenge. She just happens to be one of my favorites. I am talking about Cebu Province for number 6, and she is, of course, Lou Dominic Dixon. Now, I love how she presented herself in this video. She had one of the funkiest wardrobe, and I love how playful she was with the wardrobe and how colorful she was, and all of the variety of facial expressions that she provided us. So she would, shift to something more mysterious and then something sultry, but everything else was just really so happy. And you know what, when Lou joined the first time during Rabia's time in 2019, was that 2019 or 2020? 2020. Yeah, so when she joined the first time, she was actually the recipient of the Runway Challenge Award. So we're looking at someone who's really able, we're looking at someone experienced, we're looking at someone effortless. I just wish, though, that Lou could have had her Pasarela Challenge at an environment or a setup that was more industrial, just to contrast the colorful dress and the colorful ensemble that she wore. If you could remember the place where Bea Luigi Gomez had her Pasarela Challenge from last year, I would have really wanted Lou to be transported to that place, because I felt that the surroundings competed with Lou's outfit and competed with Lou's Pasarela performance. I think that there were just so many things going on. You had the construction work, you had construction materials, and then a little bit of the mountains, and then of course the roads. So just like Chantal, I felt that I was looking at way too many things. But that's just at least the technical aspect of the production. It had nothing to do with Lou's superb Pasarela. Now, I'm going into my top 5 spot, and I'm really very happy to open up my top 5 with a new face, and I'm talking about Miss Palawan's Angelica Lopez. Now, Angelica was a revelation. Actually, during the swimsuit challenge, I was already writing her on my list. I mean, she was already on my list, but this was a list that needed some tweaks that I couldn't really include in the list that I presented to you. So what I'm just saying is that there have been hints here and there of her potential, because I would go over her materials and just sit on it for a while and say, could we have her on my list? Maybe not, maybe, but this time around, I am pretty sure that she deserved this. Number 1, I loved her hair and makeup. She really looked like Marian Umali. I'm gonna flash her, the Filipino-Lebanese beauty, who is also a really bankable fashion model these days. I love how vibrant her makeup was. It's a little stronger. It's a look that's a little stronger, but it complemented well with her colorful dress, which at one point was like a co-ords type of dress, and then she removed the train, and then it became a romper. So I don't know how many pieces her wardrobe was, but I felt that she absolutely nailed playing with her dress. There was at one point a jeepney, and she was walking astride the jeepney, and she was so fast with her strides, and it was just a visual delight to watch something like that. I mean, she doesn't have as much buzz, but if she was able to deliver that without the, machinery, the PR machinery to get her hyped, then that's definitely just her and her team. I thought that they did an absolutely commendable job. For my number 4th spot, I am happy to give this to one of my favorites in the competition. She is very consistent lately, and this face does not lie, you guys. I am talking about Baguio's Ghenesis Latugat. Now, this one I really like because she's holding her own. She's butting heads with the heavy favorites in the competition. She's giving us an alternative. She's making us believe that it's not just a popularity contest, this is a skills contest, and she's been very steady. So she was the one who walked atop of Marcos Tunnel. I thought that the surroundings was just a little too busy. That's why I really like the shots of her, charging in front and following the camera. I love the camera angle showing her footwork from the front, because if I am going to be very technical about this, because I want her to be successful in this competition, I don't want to sugarcoat things for her. Her face, her styling looked on point that day, and her pasarela is just something that can be worked on to perfection. Again, I love the shots of her charging the camera, or moving towards the camera with Kuya videographer probably taking steps back to capture her every movement. But when she turns to the side, then you could really see the areas for improvement. I think that she needed wider strides. I also think that she has to really practice on not bending her knees so much. And more than this, I also wish that she would work more on her posture, because if you see her from the side, you could see that her back is just a little delayed with the rest of her body. So these are very technical things that I'm pretty sure they can work with if they want Ghenesis to really go head to head with the heavy favorites in the competition come finals. But yeah, more than that, absolutely commendable job for Ghenesis, commendable job for her team as well. And I wish they would maintain this hairstyle, because this girl looks amazing with a mane of lion hair. She also looks great when her hair is, pulled back. Number 3 for me, I'm really happy that this one is fighting like, I don't know, rent depends on it. I'm talking about Miss Taguig, and she is, of course, Katrina Legato. First of all, Katrina is loved. You could see it. You could see it with the prep work. You could see it with how they style her, how they take care of her. And I know this because I've covered some events for the city of Taguig, and I know how supportive they are with their queens. I particularly remember hearing a conversation between the officials of the city government, and they were talking to each other, and they were asking each other if there were other candidates of Taguig, because if they were giving a party for one of the candidates, then it might make sense to also try to figure out who the other candidates of Taguig are, so that they could give them, the same treatment. And I like this. I love the coordination, because it means that the city government would like to, do a proper networking for the talents in the city to also help out lift the candidates of the city. So I know that she is loved. I know that she is well taken care of, and you could see this in the video quality. Now, I like the way Katrina is approaching this competition, because it seems that she is just in competition with herself, and she is definitely doing her own thing. She's not looking around with what the other front runners are doing. She's really conceptualizing her looks as well as her presentation, and her team definitely is helping her with this. And just like with everything else, I thought that her face looked beautiful. Hair, makeup, even the styling, I did not mind that it was a little too extra this time. So good job Katrina. Number 2 for me is Makati's Michelle D. I honestly thought that this was Michelle's most beautiful styling. I loved her hair here. I loved her makeup. I loved the video as well. It was directional. It had a story. It felt to me like she was part of, I don't know, like a regional Netflix show. If they could do like maybe a remake of So Close, I thought that, Michelle would be perfect and believable as, some crime busting, OG. She's tall, she's commanding. You could see more personality in her. I like that, helicopter action. It did look like an expensive production. So if there was just one thing that might have just propelled her to my top, I would say that if they just focus a little more on her footwork and her pasarela, I think that she could have easily risen to my top. But nevertheless, that was an amazing effort for Michelle and her team. And, you know, this is definitely convincing us that Michelle is listening, because I do know that one of the more common comments about Michelle is that, you know, she's more on the timid side, she's very chill. So I like how we're seeing a difference in the way she attacks this competition. But before this, I would like to remind you of what is it that we're working for. I think you should watch this video. You missed that. I love this. I think Steffi's video will be so hard to top, even in the next coming editions. It's going to be difficult, but you know, at least it's nice that they patterned a lot of the pasarela or the runway challenge videos to at least try to top Steffi. So I just wanted to throw that video in just for a bit of nostalgia. But you know, seriously, before I go into my top 1 spot, I would like to extend a shout out to Miss Arayat. I thought that, you know, in all of the challenges, she always looks mabango, she always looks polished. It's just a little sad that some of these girls, they don't have the hype machine, but I like that, you know, she's always put together. I would also like to give a shout out to Jedida. I love what she was wearing. I mean, if they had it in a bigger size, I would definitely get it. I also like Miss Pangasinan. You know, Miss Pangasinan always gets featured in my list, if not from the actual roster, maybe for the honorable mention, because I find that there's so much potential in her. Probably not yet for the beauty pageant side, but if she decides to go on for any, you know, modeling competition, I think that she would, you know, do really well. And I like that she seems like she was also taking off, because she walked on an airport runway surrounded by airplanes, and you know, it felt that she was about to take off as well. My number 1 spot, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, and I am going to give this to Albay's Julia Saubier. Now, if I'm very honest with you, I was really watching out for Pauline Amelings of Bohol as well as Julia Saubier in this competition, because however accomplished they are in their, you know, lives as well as their pageant careers, these are the 2 girls who have just the most amazing comm skills, but are definitely lacking in the pasarela skills department. So I want to talk a little bit about Pauline, because I know that a lot of you will look for her. I just feel like I don't want to rehash it too much, because I think everything has already been written at platforms all across the board. I just want to say that your observations are pretty much my observations with Pauline. I think that what brought her down in this competition was the styling. It was a little heavy for me, a little heavy-handed too, with the dress that she was wearing. I did not think it was the right dress for that challenge. And I will also mention that maybe the camera work did not do her any favors, because I felt that there were way too many shots of you know, like faraway shots or drone shots, and it felt like they were hiding you know, footwork or her skills in pasarela. So I don't know if this is a conscious decision, but yeah, unfortunately this wasn't Pauline's best hour. So I was really thinking about her and Julia for this, because if there's a challenge that, you know, they might not do well at, it's most definitely this challenge. So I was really surprised when Julia, in front of Mayon Volcano, did the impossible, did an absolutely amazing job, looking composed, looking really elegant, and looking in command. And you know, this is someone who definitely practiced, because this is someone who recognized that Pasarela might just be her Waterloo. This is something that I don't think we have failed reminding Julia because of her Binibining Pilipinas stint. But yeah, I think she did well. And her body looked amazing. The camera work, kudos to the cinematographer. I know that this is, of course, Jolo Luarta, Kat's go-to camera person. So I think they did a really good job in focusing on Julia's body, her legs. Vast improvement for Julia. And you know, she was propelled at my #1 spot only because this was not something I expected from Julia, and I'm really very happy. So there you go, guys. I again will see you very soon. I think we still have one more challenge left, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, let's hustle. Thanks, guys.